Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, and I'm just playing with one of Natalie May Scrapbooking's collage papers. This one's called Olive, and I'm just going to be using the coloured image that you can see on the left hand side of this collage paper. So I'm just cutting round the coloured part, and I'm going to be using the quote as well, I think. Yeah, so I can't remember whether I used that quote or a different one, sorry. So first of all, I'm adding some matte medium to the page. One thing I have found works really well in this larger craft journal from Dina Wakeley, if you don't have clear gesso, that gel medium, as long as it's matte, works quite well as an initial layer on the page. It means that your page then will accept the mediums without drinking it up quite so thirstily. And this is another collage paper from Natalie May with these fabulous, I suppose it depends which way you look at it, like plus signs, addition signs, crosses if you turn it the other way. So I'm just cutting out a piece that I can use for the body shape on this figure that's going to be on my page. So you'll notice that I haven't gone in with any background colours or anything. First of all, I'm adding my collage paper on there to start off, just to get going. And then here I'm using fuchsia, and I'm just adding some fuchsia over the top of that collage paper, and just to get some colour on there. And then I'm kind of going to work my page out from the centre really, so get this initial image on the page and then decide where I'm going from there. So here I'm just using some blackberry over the top in a couple of places, just to add a little bit more interest onto that shape of the body. And then I'm going to be painting this buff colour around the image on my page. So starting to think about the background, and you notice I'm just kind of doing very loose, sketchy strokes with the paintbrush around the image, just so that it isn't a harsh line. And I will work on blending that in a bit better once I get to that part of this page. So sometimes it's fun to take an image and use it as your starting point and see if you can kind of work your page around what's already there. Use the colours that are there and the patterns, and see if you can blend your page so that the image becomes more part of your page and it's less sort of stuck out on its own. So nearly finished adding the paint around the edges. I'm just kind of dabbing my brush around the edge of the image, you see, just to soften that line where my paint is around the top part. Obviously around the body I haven't done that. So this is the graffiti stencil from Natalie May as well, and here I am using Carnation and just going over this. It's actually a mask, I think, rather than a stencil. This one leaves the imprint of it behind. It's really, I love it. It's one of my favourite ones. Look at that, isn't it fabulous? I just love those lines. It's brilliant. And this is one of Natalie May's stamps as well, this botanical stamp. So this would work with any botanical stamp. I mean, Dina's done a few, as have Tim Holt. And here I'm just using a couple of archival inks in a bright green and a forest green. And I'm just stamping these leaf shapes around the top and bottom of my page, just to kind of give a bit of interest at the top and bottom of the page, and just to start to work on the rest of my background. So I'm overlapping the stamps. I'm not worrying about the fact that I'm stamping them over each other. I'm just creating quite a layered look here with the stamps. And you'll notice that I'm also stamping them over the image that's on my page too. That just helps it feel more part of what's already there. Okay, so then that was given a really good dry. Then I'm just drawing around the body shape with the Stabilo oil pencil and just using my water brush to go over that line, just to soften it. and then just extending that up around the face and the neck. Then I'm using my scribble sticks as if they are a watercolour really, so I'm wetting my brush, getting some pigment onto my brush and adding the colour into the stamped leaves from the Natalie May stamp that I used. That's also a Neo colour too, so obviously they work just the same, and it's a nice different green shade, and I'm just roughly adding the colour into those leaves. And you see this is sort of starting to bring this page together. So the reason that I added leaves around the edges was because in this Olive's hair there are flowers and leaves there already, and it just kind of made me feel that these leaf stamps would work really well around the edge. So then I've got my wet brush and I'm just splattering it off the Neo Colour 2 and the scribble stick just to add some splatters onto my page as well. And that just helps to soften those images that I've added as well. And then I am just going in, so it's very difficult to see on camera here, but there are lots of little doodles around the image, so I'm just going in with my fine liner pen and just pulling those doodles out onto my page where I've stuck the image, where I've added the paint. Again, that just pulls the image out onto what I've done and helps to blend it in with the background that I've added over the top. And then I'm using the Signo Uniball and I'm just adding in the whites of the eyes as well. And that just helps to make the face come alive a little bit more, I think. And pulls that part of the image forwards, really, makes it stand out a little bit more. You do have to be very careful though when you're doing this, because you can end up making your image look like a bit of a zombie if you're not careful. So just have a little bit careful. And then I am using a quote, and I'm going to be sticking that onto the figure on my page. So I'm just going to use a bit of gel medium to stick that down. So I'm just kind of trimming it down so it fits nicely. And then I'm using the distress crayons and just going in and adding some more depth of colour in some places and just smudging it with my finger just to kind of pull those colours out and blend things together a bit more. These distress crayons are great for this as a final layer, because once you've added the distress crayon onto your page, you'll find that you can't add any more pen onto the top of it because it's quite creamy and it won't kind of take over the top. So then I'm just adding a little bit more depth to that left-hand side of that figure as well, using that purple distress crayon. And there it is, there's the finished image. So Natalie May's collage papers are fabulous and great fun to play with. So thanks for watching. I hope you found some inspiration and I hope to see you again soon.